Thanks to Bug Zero for supporting this episode. We appreciate services that are low-key and predictable. Bug Zero's Insectishield plan is both. It keeps your home pest-free without knocking your day off track. And the people, they are super kind. Check them out at bugzero.com or give them a quick call or text at 417-831-7378. The number again is 417-831-7378.
Just a quick disclosure to share in conjunction with this podcast. Each of us are speaking to our personal experiences and do not consider ourselves experts and cannot offer medical, therapy, financial, or legal advice. We represent a wide range of experience on the autism spectrum and will always honor each perspective that is brought to our discussions. Our experiences, opinions, and perspectives are all unique and different and will be celebrated. Thank you so much for listening and connecting with us. Thank you. Welcome to Navigating Adult Autism. This is our kickoff to our third season, and we are happy to welcome Dr. Stephen Shore as our guest to kick off our third season. We're very excited. So Dr. Shore, welcome to Navigating Adult Autism podcast. My name is Mary. We're going to go around and introduce ourselves for you and also for our listeners as well. My name is Mary, and I have a son, Conrad, and he is 33, and he is on the high end of the autism spectrum. And he currently works part-time. So I'll pass it off to Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather. I have a 24-year-old son named Zachary who is on the profound end, requires 24/7 care, who is awesome. Nice to meet you, Dr. Shore.
And who's employed?
He's employed, 2 hours a week from a company that we own. So we created that opportunity for himself. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm Cynthia, and I have a son, 31, Eric, and he is employed and he is married and he has a little baby. So,
Yay, baby.
and a foster father.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right, yeah.
I'm Tara. I have a 22-year-old son on the spectrum. He is working through Voc Rehab right now, working at a Branson theater as the concessions person, and he just advocated for himself to start working the soundboard because he interned with us doing the soundboard and he knew how to do it. So
Awesome.
That's really great. Yeah. Really great.
I'm Dawn. I have a 28-year-old son who's in the middle of the spectrum, and he's employed at Walmart working 36 hours a week.
Oh, all right. Full time.
yeah.
Yay.
Okay, and to finish up, I'm Elizabeth, and I have, out of my 5 children, I have 3 that have an autism diagnosis. One is 33, and she travels around the country taking pictures during dance competition season. She works for a company. I also have a 23-year-old who is on the profound end, who is recently struggling with his seizures and working, trying to get those under control. He's limited verbally, but can do some communication. And then my youngest just turned 20, and he will be returning to a supported college program and works and just got in contact, and he will be continuing to work at the dining hall this year as well.
Oh, good. Good. Okay. Yeah. Well, that is us, Dr. Shore. If you want to introduce yourself to ourselves and our listeners, just tell us a little bit about yourself. We obviously know a little bit about, but can you just maybe do a nice introduction about yourself?
Yeah, I certainly can. And if we take it from the beginning, after things were pretty typical at first, with my wife even looking at a 24-hour-old baby picture saying that I looked like an egg. And then things were moving along very nicely until, like what happens to about 30% of us, I got struck with the regressive autism bomb. Mm-hmm. And that's what I call it, because at that point, I lost functional communication, had meltdowns, withdrew from the environment, and in brief became a pretty significantly affected autistic little kid. And because there was so little known about autism in those days, it took my parents a year to find a place for diagnosis. And when they did, the doctor said, well, gee, this kid's too sick, send him off to an institution. But fortunately, my parents, like we see ever increasing numbers of parents today, they advocated on my behalf and they convinced the school to take me in about a year. And it was during that year my parents implemented what we would today refer to as an intensive home-based early intervention program. And it was a program that emphasized music, movement, sensory integration, narration, and imitation. It probably looked like one of the more cognitive, developmental, or developmental relational approaches we have today. Possibly like floor time or Miller method or RDI. And it's also important to realize that even though my parents had no terminology for what they were doing, and I just use today's terminology, it's important to use the approach that works best for the particular child. So it's matching approaches and techniques to individual profiles. And I think that's important to bring up because my parents used a more developmental, cognitive or affective-ish approach, that may not work for everybody. And with the work that they did, speech began to return at age 4.
Wow.
Okay.
And what they did, you might say an important breakthrough, was that after my parents tried to get me to imitate them, and we all use imitation as a teaching strategy, formally or informally. Anytime anyone's said, I'll show you how to do it, now you do it. But perhaps due to a difference in mirror neurons in autistic people, especially when young, imitation didn't work for me. So they flipped it around and they imitated me. So if I flapped, so they flapped. If I made some kind of sound that I heard from somewhere, they also made that sound. And the important thing is that they develop that initial connection. And it's important to meet the person where they are, wherever they are on the spectrum, even whether they're autistic or not. You do have to meet the person where they are.
Yes.
Right. Right.
And that is the floor or the foundation that you then build a trusting relationship. And then from there, you can move on. And it's important for autistic people in order to do meaningful work. And I think it's important for everybody else, autistic or otherwise.
Agreed.
And then when we moving on to age 4, I entered the school that initially rejected me. Again, as I mentioned, speech is beginning to come back. I got reevaluated. Instead of being considered as psychotic and ready for an institution, I got upgraded to neurotic, so things are moving up in the world.
And all this before you're 4, or by the time you're 4.
All before 4, all with what we today call intensive home-based early intervention at a time when the concept of early intervention didn't even exist.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So it was really just parents desperately trying to reach their kid.
Right.
What it probably was from their point of view.
So, Dr. Shore, for our listeners that might not be aware, you're talking about 1960s, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking about the early to mid 1960s.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And that was the prognosis for an autistic person. Is off to an institution, maybe with a lot of intensive psychological work and other types of work. Maybe at least the person wouldn't be having meltdowns all the time.
Okay.
That's what they thought at that time. Now we know much better. But that was the going belief.
Right.
And often we hear about the significant strengths that autistic people have. And at age 4, I guess this is my first ability, you might say, I was found by my parents taking apart a watch with a sharp knife. Pop open the back, extract the motor, remove the gears, spin them around, and then put it all back together again, and the watch still worked.
Wow.
There weren't any pieces left over.
Wow.
So you're seeing, and this is an interesting thing to consider. You're seeing incredible fine motor control. That's the strength end of things. To take apart a watch.
Yeah.
But then the question is, where does that motor control go when it comes to penmanship? When I was and am a penmanship disaster area. Both of these activities require fine motor control. And so it's an interesting neurological question, which I can refer you to your favorite occupational therapist for some possibilities. What this is also an example of is often the sharp lines of demarcation between the abilities that autism can give us and also the very real disabilities, the debilitating things that can come with autism as well.
Yeah.
So we need to be aware of both. I believe it's important to focus on the strengths and the abilities, be asking what can the person do, and then being mindful of those challenges. What can we do to mediate those challenges that are blocking success?
So as you moved on, I mean, you were very, very successful. So can you go through that time frame on all your other successes, your books? You have a show on PBS. Like, where did, as you've grown, how did all that develop so successfully?
Well, it developed slowly, beginning with the watches, I suppose. Then in school, most of my elementary school days, I was a social and academic catastrophe. You know what happens to children who are different in grade school.
Right. Yeah, we sure do.
Especially school systems beginning to learn that bullying is not a developmental phase that people need to go through.
Good point.
And academically, I was usually about a grade behind in most of my subjects. So then you ask, well, where does the success come from? Well, I'd spend my time in elementary school going to the library to get my favorite books, or I should say books on whatever I was interested in at that time. So it might have been music or astronomy, dinosaurs, earthquakes, volcanoes, space exploration, aviation, and many different things. And I'd take all the books, pile them up, read them, take notes, copy diagrams, and then put them away and get the next one. And sometimes even wonder during grade school, is there something more to this than just reading my favorite books? I'm happy to do it, but should I be doing math in groups like my other classmates are doing? And I think what it translated to is the teachers didn't quite know how to reach me. But at the same time, I wasn't a behavior problem, so they left me my own devices, probably for better rather than for worse.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was a public school setting, Dr. Shore?
That was a public school setting, yeah.
And where did you grow up, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, yeah, in Newton, Massachusetts, which is right outside of Boston.
Gotcha.
And then as we move on, we jump up to middle and high school. You don't need to be autistic to have difficulties in middle and high school.
That's very true.
Especially middle.
Very true.
Yes.
But true to the way us autistic people do things differently, it was actually better because I figured out two things. One, using words instead of sound effects from the environment really helped with social interaction.
Right.
And then two, I was able to engage in my focused interest of music.
Okay.
Yes.
And the silver lining to middle and high school is where you start seeing courses, clubs, and activities based on particular interests.
Right.
So music being mine, there I went. And being autistic about it, I decided that I needed to learn how to play all the musical instruments.
Wow. Wow.
So I spent hours in the instrument closet, taking them apart like I did with the watches. Sometimes it's combining a number of instruments into these horrific contraptions. that never should have seen the light of day.
Wow. What did your band instructor say about that?
He was very curious about what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I'd ask him all kinds of questions. Some of them he couldn't answer. But I did find out from him that a requirement for a degree in music education at the university level was you had to learn all the instruments.
Yeah.
And that just seemed to be the best thing to do. What could be better? And I'd only gotten it up to about 15 by the time I got out of high school.
Wow.
There were a few more to learn.
Wow. Impressive.
Amazing.
And so then it was off to college. And college, they didn't know I was autistic in college and in undergrad. If somebody had asked me if I was autistic, I probably would have said, well, I was autistic when I was a kid, but not anymore.
No.
I'm in college. That was the state of knowledge in those times.
Yeah.
It wasn't a denial thing like, nah, I'm not autistic. What are you talking about? You're autistic. Telling me I'm autistic, but more just like, that was something of the past. Until much later, I found that once autistic, always autistic, but that will come in a bit. So there I was. It was undergraduate school, studying music education. That was just a great thing to do. And I ran that study all the way through my doctoral program, finished my doctoral coursework in music education, and then started getting into difficulties in analyzing music from the Romantic era, which was mighty strange to me, it felt, because if that's some of my favorite music, well, what's the deal with analyzing it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't a case of, I don't like that kind of music. I don't like Rachmaninoff. I don't like Beethoven. I don't like Tchaikovsky, so I'm not going to listen to it or attend to it properly. Just can't do it. But no, I loved that music. So what was it? And that made me wonder, well, maybe this autistic thing is not over and it's still there. So I went and got a neuropsych exam and found that indeed the autism was still haunting me. And I can't say I was autistic, but I have to say I am autistic. So that answered that question, which was good. And I find in adulthood, when people find out that they're autistic, and I was sort of half in that category because I knew I was autistic, at least thought at that time, well, I was an autistic kid, no big deal. But it was still there. Okay, that's cool. Some adults will deny it to the ends of the earth. But for others, it's, so it answers a bunch of questions. Back to the school with my neuropsych in hand, asking for accommodations. Because there was so little knowledge, the best that they could figure out was that I could repeat classes as many times as I wanted, which wasn't the case. I mean, that wouldn't work. So what was the problem with the Romantic music? So for people familiar with music, both harmonically and also thematically, some of the boundaries that tell us things such as when you've gone from one section of the piece to another, when you're coming to the end of a piece, when you're bridging from one part of a piece to another, there are certain things that happen in very predictable form. In Romantic music, those boundaries get blurred to some extent.
Interesting.
Yeah. And blurred enough for me to not be able to make enough sense out of it.
So it was the transition from each piece to the next piece that was sort of stumping you?
More transitions from one part of a piece to another.
Okay.
So there might be an A section and then a B section. And there are certain things that tell you when you've transitioned from one to the next that all of you know, no matter how much or little you've studied music, you know it. It's just if you study music, you can put words to it. You can name the terminology that's going on, but
Yeah, and the rest of us are just it just sounds right. It sounds
just
right, or it doesn't
sounds
sound right.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when did you write your first book? Was that your first accomplishment? I mean, you have many. I didn't mean it to sound like that. You have many accomplishments, but what was your first book?
Yeah. Yeah, the first book was Beyond the Wall, or is Beyond the Wall, I should say. That's my autobiography.
Okay.
And I started writing that while I was in my doctoral program and having those difficulties
Awesome. Okay.
in music education. And I was still writing, and actually that was my writing sample that I used to apply to and then get accepted to the School of Education.
Oh, okay.
So I defected from music education and to education in general with a focus on autism, and got my doctorate from there. So I have all the doctorate coursework in music education, but not the comprehensive exam nor the paper. But I do have the coursework and that type of ending stuff from the School of Education. So my doctorate's in special education.
Oh, okay.
So, Dr. Shore, did you seek accommodations for your doctoral work in special education, or was that more predictable and therefore?
Well, that's a very interesting question, because I did seek and went to the disabilities office. That's what they called it in those days, and some schools still do. Now it's often referred to as the Student Access Office, the Office of Student Success, or some other name, but they do the same thing.
Right.
And the director of that program basically told me, well, sometimes if you're not qualified to do something, or substantially qualified, then you shouldn't do it.
Wow.
And it gave me this story. It sounds like an urban myth, actually. The way the story goes is that there was this fellow who was a paraplegic. So he couldn't use his legs. And he applied to be a firefighter. And they turned him down. They rejected his application. He didn't get the job. He then sued under discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. So it went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court finally said, well, to be a firefighter, you have to run up and down ladders and carry heavy objects, and the ladders don't have rails for wheelchairs, at least at this point, so it's probably not going to work. If you want to do something else, in perhaps a firehouse, work at a desk, that might work pretty well. No, you can't be a firefighter and running up and down ladders. And that was the substantially qualified part of that. So then I thought, well, I could either have fun with ADA lawyers, spend about 10 years, and everybody would lose at the end. Probably get the degree, but still lose. Yeah. Or I could do something else I was interested in, and that else was the special education. So that's when I defected. So now in special education. Now I'm in special education, and special education, a big component is developing accommodations and strategies. I think I'm going to wander over to the Student Disabilities Office and learn more about what they do from that end. And I wasn't looking for accommodations. And so I remember going there. They seemed a little bit nervous when I went. And they kept asking me if I wanted to fill out an application for accommodations. And even if I didn't think I needed them, I could fill it out. And then if I needed them, I could get them. I responded with, no, I think I'm okay, and I can self-accommodate for whatever difficulties I have, which I ended up doing, and didn't think too much about them at that point. Then my book gets published. And this is like the story behind the story.
This is Beyond the Wall gets published.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Beyond the Wall gets published. And Clearly, the director of the Student Disabilities Office got a hold of it and read it. And in the book, I described in excruciating detail what happened at the university, the names of the university, and the people involved changed to protect the guilty.
Yeah.
Called a few people out, I guess.
But if you knew who you were, you knew who you were.
That's
That's right.
So then I get this call while I'm at a conference in Nashville. Hi, this is Laurie Wolf. I can use the name, director of the Disabilities Office at BU. I just read your book; it's very interesting. I'd like to talk to you more about it. Would you like to make an appointment? Yeah, sure, I'll come by. And to her credit, the first thing she said was, first of all, I'd like to apologize for not having enough understanding of what you needed.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. If she could apologize, then no hard feelings. We actually ended up co-presenting at some conferences. And then when I talk about the evil disability director, and then she'd say, I'm the evil disabilities director.
Okay, as Dr. Shore, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
But the punchline on that is what changed in her life, in her personal life, that helped her see the light.
Yeah, well, I'm just about to get there. So
Okay.
that's good.
Sorry.
Tracking along.
I've read your book. I've read your book.
Yeah. And students, that happens with students too. Sometimes if I'm giving a lecture and the student asks a question, just like you did. And then I say, wait a couple moments and slide down. The students get all apologetic and they say, oh, I'm sorry. But no, actually it's good because it means they're tracking.
Yeah. Okay.
They're anticipating. So it's a good thing.
We're listening. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Guess whose two children were diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome.
Oh.
That's a
collective O.
That's what happened. Yeah.
There you go.
So that's the punchline.
Wow.
Okay. And so what university was this you were teaching at the time?
Oh, at that time, not teaching, but
teaching, he was
being
in
a
a
doctoral
program.
student.
Doctor student. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I did teach some courses there too.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, as a teacher assistant, like intro to special education, brass techniques, was teaching all the brass instruments, and I even wandered over to the business school across the street and taught some accounting courses. So that was fun too.
Oh.
You're a busy guy during that time.
So you were teaching there.
Yeah. Well, I also got a
Multi-talented.
Multi-talented.
Well, I
That's
also got a
correct.
bachelor's in accounting and information systems.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
In your
That's where
free
that
time.
came from.
Yeah.
In my free
I'm
time.
feeling very, I'm in my master's program right now and I'm feeling very intimidated by you right now.
Well, I only got one master's degree.
Oh, well, yeah, but I think the doctorate supersedes the master's. So. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. Good for you.
Anyways, you asked a question, but then I got distracted with the teaching. Oh, yeah. So I was a doctoral student there. I was teaching at that time at other schools and universities, various courses, ranging from music type courses to business type courses. But the issue of being autistic didn't turn up in anywhere over there.
So what was your second, when did you write your second book? Or is that what came next, a second book? Or
Well, yeah, the second book came next while I was in my doctoral program in special education. And it occurred to me that autistic people need to advocate for ourselves, so engage in self-advocacy.
Yeah.
However, nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What's the name of that book, Dr. Shore?
That book is called Ask and Tell, Self-Advocacy and Disclosure
Ask
for
and
people on the autism spectrum. Ask and Tell.
I like that.
And both of these books are available from Future Horizons.
Okay. Oh, yeah. We love Future Horizons, actually. Okay.
Yeah, they're great.
They are great. Okay. Good to know.
And so that made me think, well, I need to do something on self-advocacy. So I got 5 of my friends and colleagues, all autistic, to contribute a chapter on what their take on self-advocacy. So it started out as a pre-conference on self-advocacy. It was a full day, and we'd each present on our take on self-advocacy. Mine was involving a student in the IEP. Another author was involved in developmental stages in self-advocacy. Somebody else took working with the social service agencies, the hidden curriculum of social service agencies, and a couple of other authors wrote about other things. And so first we presented on these things. We recorded what we presented on. We had small discussion groups on each of the topics. We had a note taker take information, and then all of the authors, or to-be authors, went home, took their presentation and all the notes they got from the discussion and wrote up a chapter.
Okay.
So that is the self-advocacy book.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. And so
Thanks.
what are your, what accomplishments are you the most proud of? Or most bring you the most pride and joy?
Most pride and joy is when I'm able to figure out a way to empower an autistic person to either do something or do something better. And that could be when I give them music lessons and they learn how to play an instrument or get better at their instrument. It could be when I'm engaging with an autistic person about making decisions for what they might want to do in the future, especially if they're hobbled with the fear of that they might not like doing what they're doing 10 or 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that was the fear of this individual, is he had a lot of different interests. He could do this, he could do that, he could study accounting, many different things. But I don't know if I'm going to like that in 10 or 20 years from now. So we worked together on looking at, instead of worrying what you're doing 20 years down the line, why don't we just look at what you might want to do 6 months from now or a year from now?
That's a good tip.
You're interested in accounting. Well, why don't you take a class in accounting? Oh, but I don't want to be an accountant, he would say. I said, well, you don't have to be an accountant. A lot of people take accounting courses and they're not accounting. It helps you count your money. I got a whole degree in accounting and I'm not an accountant.
Oh, goodness. And how many books do you have, Dr. Shore?
Let's see. So we worked on the first 2. Then number 3 is Understanding Autism for Dummies. That comes from Wiley.
Oh.
So I co-authored that book. For these 3 publications, Temple Grandin wrote the foreword.
Okay, nice.
I think we've all read that book. I mean, that was the,
That was standard.
yeah,
back
that
when
was
our
the
kids-
standard.
Exactly.
Yes, and we
exactly.
thank you for that because there wasn't as much information as there is now.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we all have, we've
Yeah.
read your books and heard you speak.
Right. So fast forward to your PBS, your current show, what is it, the role for just
Oh, yeah.
Carl. I have Care down here, but I'm like, it's not Care the Collection, it's Carl the Collector. So,
Carl the Collector.
yeah, sorry about that. When did that start?
That started
PBS.
probably about 3 years ago, the beginning when they first approached me. So I got approached by, I don't even remember who, probably didn't really matter. What were my thoughts about this promo first episode? And I thought it was good, and I wrote them back, and then they just kind of disappeared. Then I got another mail about maybe 4 or 5 months later hello, we've taken over production of Carl the Collector. Would you like to be our advisor? We'd like you to serve as our advisor. And your job would be to make sure that Carl is authentically autistic for
Okay.
each one of those 80 episodes. And that's exactly what I did.
Oh, how did you like that?
I thought it was great because I found that the entire crew, whether it was the animators or Zach O'Hara, who was the kind of like the brain behind the whole thing, who authored it, and everywhere in between, they put emphasis on making sure that Carl is authentically autistic. So they take my suggestions, and it was great to see them implement it. And we go through a process where it was a 6-step process. First with a one-page premise, they called it. Not even a page, just a paragraph. This is what it's about. I'd make my comments. Then it would come back as a kind of like a rough draft, written in paragraph form, and that could be maybe 4 pages long. And then I'd do the same thing and make suggestions. And then it would show up as a rough draft of a script, and then as a final script, then as a rough draft of the animation. They call it animatic, black and white sketches you think of as to how the animation will look, and then the full-blown animation.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it was great fun going through
I bet.
all the procedures. There's amazing lessons to be learned for everyone, whether you're autistic or you have an autistic friend or you're neurodivergent or a parent. They did really well. It has high production values.
That's really neat.
That's
It's neat.
Yeah.
It's a story. There's episodes, 80 episodes of a group of friends, 6 friends. Carl is the lead. The first time in the United States that an autistic character was the lead of an animation.
Awesome.
And then he has a friend, Sheldon, who shows up as a beaver. These characters show up as animals. And Carl is a raccoon, and he's not autistic, he's not neurodivergent, and he's great at explaining social interactions to Carl.
A social translator.
Yes, social translator. And there's a squirrel named Forrest with 2 R's, and he's got ADHD with a big H. There's 2 rabbits who are twins. Although they look identical, they have very different personalities.
Cool.
So that's good.
Yeah.
And then the latest was Lotta, who's a fox, and shows up as a female autistic person, which is very good because we know that more attention needs to be paid to females on the spectrum.
Right, correct.
We need a lot
Wonderful.
more research on that, and also her autism shows up very differently than Carl's, so that depicts the spectrum. And then in one of the last episodes, we see a new character who shows up as a panda bear, and he's a non-speaking autistic person. Using a tablet to communicate. So that is really good.
It's really good.
Do each of the new characters get their own specialist? So if you're Carl, is there somebody for the female panda?
The panda, I don't think the panda was female, but I know what you mean.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
female fox or
Are you reviewing
sort of
all the?
adopted-
Yeah. Are you the
adopted
one autistic?
a lot of the fox. Yeah, I'm the one autistic person who's advising.
Yeah, that's what her. I
Gotcha.
think that's what her
Primarily
question was.
advising. Yeah, but then it was great because they'd ask me For example, with the non-speaking character, can you answer some questions about about a non-speaking character that we're developing, or do you think it would be better to contact a non-speaking autistic person?
Oh, how wonderful. So they're actually seeing, they're actually
Covering their bases.
Yeah, covering them, seeing that every autistic person is an individual and has different needs.
Right.
Yeah, so they're thinking that maybe they need a specialist for that person.
Yeah, nonverbal.
And so they
Representative of our
suggested,
community.
let's find a non-speaking person. And I like the term non-speaking better than nonverbal.
Yes. Yeah.
Nonverbal means the person doesn't understand language. And we all know autistic people who don't speak, who also may have very high support needs,
Right.
but still they communicate. They understand what you're saying. We know that receptive is better than, and they communicate back too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this means so much to all of us in the community, especially with Profound, because there's not always that representation. And unwittingly, some shows, because they really they get into the community and they're put together so well and people love them, but then that becomes kind of like the Rain Man phenomenon back in the day.
The
Everybody
stereotype.
thought, yes, the stereotype of this is what autism is. So you guys are getting ahead of that and not allowing that to happen.
Yeah, we want to make sure to do that because as we think about autism in media, it does tend to focus on those of us who, however you want to term it, level 1,
Yes.
speaking,
Yeah.
autistic people, those of us who may be working, who are communicating, usually through spoken word.
We've talked about that, how the media sometimes glamorizes it a little bit.
I can do that, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Can we ask you about your I'm sorry to interrupt you. Were you going to finish that thought? I'm sorry.
No, let her rip.
Can we ask you about your advocacy work with Autism Speaks?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Autism Speaks. That's, they definitely have a checkered history, especially when they first came out. As an organization who was at what I call the first level of my forays of autism, and that is awareness. And we've been at awareness for a long time now.
Right.
Decades.
Yes.
And I remember when I came to present for you in person way back when.
You remember?
It was, that was a lot of
Springfield,
fun.
Missouri.
I'd like to do that again if it was.
Oh, we would love that.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be great. And doing that. What do you call it? Sliding between trees.
Zip lining.
You were good. You were good.
That was a good time.
See, he did remember ziplining in the Ozarks.
Well, actually, I should mention this, that most of us met doing the Autism Speaks Walk Now for Autism, because most of our kids are, I don't know, Zion, my son was diagnosed in 2005 maybe, and that was really the first organization that we, that it was the only organization that was, had a lot of information for us. So
That gave us hope. That we,
yeah. So that's how most of us met. We're doing the walk in Springfield, Missouri.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Do you still do advocacy work with them?
Oh yeah, I do. I'm still
Okay.
on the board.
Okay.
So that's a story, and then we got distracted with a different
Ziplining.
levels.
That's okay.
Lining and whatnot. So Autism Speaks came screaming into the community at level 1, awareness. And I've seen this with parents, organizations, even entire countries, businesses. And level 1 is kind of when there's an initial shock at realizing, and it depends what the situation is.
Right.
You're autistic, your child's autistic, you have so many millions of people in your country, and the population is autistic, at work, whatever it is. So sometimes it's denial. There's often a great gathering of information, research, and kind of a sense that by hook or by crook, nobody's done it before. And this was clear with Autism Speaks. But we're going to figure out what this autism thing is. We're going to cure it. We're going to extract it from our child. It's a horrible thing. And we're going to get rid of it. We're going to do it. Nobody else has, but by sheer determination, will, and everything else you can think of, we're going to get it done. And then after a period of time, and that's when we saw those posters and those kidnap posters, your child's been kidnapped by Autism Speaks.
Oh, right.
That horrific video that they put out at first. Our autism will bankrupt you, ruin your life, make you divorce, and all that type of stuff. So scaremonger type things. And that got the people at that time, those of us who were considered to have Asperger's syndrome, really upset.
Yes.
Why do you want to eliminate us? So you can see their point of view. And Autism Speaks was the enemy. However, I knew some people in Autism Speaks at that time. And they seemed to be doing some interesting things. This was more at middle management level. And they asked me if I'd help them with a toolkit, because they're known for their toolkits. The first 100 days, that was the first one, and then various others, including one on advocacy, self-advocacy, and another one on transition. And if that is the case, then there must be some people in Autism Speaks who believe that autism is here to stay, and it's something that we should be working with and not against. And that is the transition point, or one of them, when an organization or person or whomever or whatever evolves to the second step, and that's acceptance. And that's when Autism Speaks said, or at least these people said, this autism's here to stay. There's some good things about being autistic. We're going to work with it and not against it. We're going to understand the characteristics. It's the difference between a teacher, for example, saying, if you want to continue engaging in your favorite activity of using a computerized flight simulator, you have to meet your math goals first. Then you can get back to it. And more of an acceptance way of going about it would be, well, I know there's a lot of math in flying airplanes. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I'm going to study it, and I'm going to teach this kid math through using a flight simulator. And now math becomes intrinsically reinforcing. Instead of something, well, gee, I got to get through it, and then I can do the preferred activity.
Right.
So that's that's step 2. That's the acceptance phase. And I see it happening in parents and autistic people who perhaps were originally in denial, organizations, entire countries, whatever. And so I was doing more work in Autism Speaks. And I guess some people saw what I was doing, and they asked me they invited me to speak at their conference. Every now and then they'd hold a conference, maybe every 10 years or so. So they invited me to one. Okay, I'll go, I'll talk. And I gave Autism Speaks a bunch of homework to do. Yeah. If you want to help autistic people, do this, do that. I didn't call them names. I didn't yell at them or anything like that. But if you want to help us some more, do these following things. And I guess they liked it to a point where I had co-presented with Mark Rothmeyer or something of that nature, a former president of Autism Speaks.
I remember him.
Yeah. And I was talking about Autism Speaks inviting me to speak at their conference, and I mentioned something about their toolkits that seemed to actually be helpful for autistic people, suggesting that this thing's here to stay. We're going to work with it. And so I made a little funny and said, well, in this case, Autism Speaks listened.
Oh, I love it.
Because that was their byline. It's time to listen.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I flipped it around. I guess they liked it. One thing led to another. I get a call or an email. I don't even remember who. It might have been Mark. Would I like to sit on their advisory board? The scientific advisory board.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it and thought, well, they're not quite ready yet. So, no. And I said no. Because I feared what would happen, actually did happen, with John Elder Robeson, who's a well-known autistic person. And actually somebody like him would be better on the scientific board than me anyways. So they asked him, and maybe they asked me who I suggested. Whatever, he ended up on it. And that's all well and good because his mind goes in that direction and he has a lot to say. But he eventually quit because essentially they didn't listen to him.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. So then that led to a meeting, called for a meeting with the then president. Mark was gone. Elizabeth, another Elizabeth. She was the big boss. Like, let's make an appointment. We met at the conference. I got some things to talk about. Took us about 6 months to get to making an appointment. And finally I went in and I told her, the problem with Autism Speaks is that it's a schizophrenic organization.
Oh.
She looks at me funny.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that must have been a fun conversation.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I told her I'm not making fun of Autism Speaks. I'm not calling Autism Speaks names. But how can it be that you have these people, and I named them, working on these toolkits, which have now expanded, autism and sexuality for autistic people and so on. And then you have people like, let's see, the co-founder, the founder's wife. I'm trying to remember her name now, of Autism Speaks.
I don't remember her name.
Peggy Wright?
Not Peggy, but
Katie?
definitely Katie, not Katie, that's the daughter.
Right.
Suzanne.
Oh, yeah.
Good, Don.
Yeah.
Good, Dr.
Yeah,
Shar.
yeah. Oh, thank you.
You work with
Yeah, and we
you got it out.
Yeah, and she should be mentioned by name because here she is going to Washington D.C. talking about what we need funding because we have this autism epidemic and it's a horrible thing. So you're kind of doing both things at once. So how can that be? And she said, well, I understand what you're saying, and nothing much happened of it. Then I went to some other events, conferences, spent time with some other Autism Speaks board members who seemed pretty cool, including Billy Mann, who has a really significantly affected autistic child. And also was responsible for that video that we talked about a little bit earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But he seemed to be a decent guy. More time goes on. Liz leaves. No, she's still there. Bob Wright resigns or retires, is no longer the board. Somebody else is. And this guy calls me up. Let's set up a meeting. We got things to talk about. And it took us about 6 months of not meeting due to crazy schedules. And he just blurted it out finally. Well, I'm just going to blurt it out on the phone. How would you like to be on the board of Autism Speaks?
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, well, I think Autism Speaks is ready now for their first 2 autistic board members.
And when was that? What year was that?
I think that it's probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And since then, have you just seen an improvement, Dr. Shore, in just the kind of melding and of organizations like working together a little bit better, do you think?
Yeah, it's gotten much better. They are listening to us. I mean, there are some things they could listen better, but they're working at it. They're working hard, and that's good.
Yeah.
And they have, for example, research grants for autistic researchers.
Wonderful.
Oh, that's
So
good.
that's definitely supporting autistic people. And so what that means is they've moved into the appreciation phase. That's step 3. Appreciating autistic people, appreciating our input, evaluating us for who we are. And so
I like that.
getting
phrase.
through those 3 phases of autism, they're also working on the 4th, which is not really a phase, kind of a step. It's action.
Okay.
And action are all the efforts that we put into better understanding and supporting autistic people. That's what who's ever going to be listening to this podcast. You're listening to learn more about autism, how to perhaps better support, understand, and support the autistic person you know. And that's action. That's the work.
true.
Those are the efforts that you put into better understanding people on the spectrum. And now we have to go back to Suzanne Wright, because there is a little known, very positive thing that she did. And that was, I was at an event she was leading. She was giving a presentation or pre-presentation. Anyway, she was speaking in front of all of us. And she talked about the need to continue research and putting our efforts towards making productive lives for autistic people through the lifespan. And it was like, oh, okay, you got to figure it out. You're in acceptance, maybe edging into appreciation, and that's really good growth. It was maybe only a few months later that she passed away, and I've never heard anybody talk about it, but I heard it. She gets credit for that.
Yeah.
And I know as a mom of Zachary, who's on the profound end, like in the beginning, like you were talking about going through these different steps, I think it's just natural human nature to, when you have this young baby that's diagnosed with something you freak out. It's just it's a grieving process and you're not sure what's going on. Yeah. And so I think even now, you probably would agree with this, that when research is kind of mentioned now, it's like someone automatically assumes that like we're trying to cure something. And actually, I think for me, research now after 24 years means understanding what's happening better so that there's therapeutic ways to help, or just being able to understand autism as a whole in order to help, like we say, have adults grow into, having more meaningful lives because of that information that we're gaining. So, I think because sometimes that's a point of contingent. Just the thought of research can cause fights in the community. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, it certainly can be. And, whatever we can do to support people wherever they are in terms of support needs, even if we can find one thing that will improve their life, whatever that is.
Right.
It'll be different for me than your son, although the commonality will be it's an improvement.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you please explain your Learn Autism app?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
saw
app.
that on your website. I hadn't seen that because just this conversation you're kind of talking about now kind of leads into that learning. And I was, that was the first exposure I'd had to that in preparing for our visit today. I'd love to learn some more about that and what that looks like.
Oh, with Learn Autism, we realized that there's a lot of good information about autism. However, a lot of it is presented in geeky research study type terminology and reading. And what the goal of Autism Speaks is to bring this research, you might say, down to earth. So to present videos in more than a soundbite, but still easily digestible, small units that people can watch and learn, you might say, one thing at a time to better understand and support autistic individuals.
So is this age-wise? Is it for families just starting out at this point? I know it's a fairly newer project. Is it for through the lifespan?
It's through the lifespan.
Okay.
It's really good as an introduction. So sort of like Understanding Autism for Dummies.
Mm-hmm.
It's good at the beginning of the journey, wherever you are in your lifespan.
And you can just download the app, just like,
Yes.
okay, because I'm not super technical, but you can go to the Apple Store and download it.
Which it's interesting because Dawn and I were talking before, like when she was mentioning how she had heard you speak, and some of the things you said at that point weren't really applicable to her, her situation. And I've, heard that before and understand that when we're listening, when, our kids are younger, we're retaining the stuff that matters right
pertains to us. Yeah.
And then we, so we might not, so even though we might have been introduced and know some of these things early on, when they're teenagers and then they're young adults, it's going to look different when we didn't retain that information. So if we have resources that are going to give it to us in that bite size, or kind of review some things that maybe we thought we knew, or maybe we knew something and used it then and we haven't had a crisis in 10 years, or we haven't had a big transition in 10 years. So is this something that we could keep revisiting as far as the app or toolkits, or where would you suggest, some of us that are more seasoned, where do we go?
Yeah, I mean, it is something you can revisit. We plan on introducing new materials there.
Okay.
And there's leads to getting further in depth into various topics.
Wonderful.
Great. That's great. And Dr. Shore, just when we wrap it up, we would love to have you back on for like a part 2 at some point. That's okay.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I think we have a lot more questions, but I know time's running a little short. But like, where are you now? Are you working on anything new now, or what does your life look like now? And how would you, like, if someone, an adult on the spectrum, was listening to this, any advice and like little update and a little advice?
All right. So I spend most of my time now either teaching or researching at Adelphi University in New York on things mostly related to autism. If I'm not doing that, I'm engaging in research, and this would be good for a part 2.
Okay.
I'm engaging in research, community participatory research. To be
nice.
So if we're studying autistic people, we should be involving autistic people in the research.
Right.
And with this research, that is when we found that the most pressing issue challenging issue regarding medical care for autistic people, according to autistic people, is access to mental health support.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was our first bit of research. When putting together the lead team, we made sure that the team was made up of 50% autistic people and 50% non-autistic people, because we wanted to show that us autistic people could be inclusive as well.
Awesome.
Right.
And then that project ended, and we're now involved in a couple of grants from PCORI, Patient Care Outcome Research Institute, which focuses on improving the patient experience, as they call it. What we're doing
That's good.
is we're focusing on suicide prevention, because that's a mental health issue, and that's a leading cause of death in autistic adults. So
I'm so
one of the
glad you brought
grants,
that up. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
one of the grants is $9.2 million, and the other grant is, I think, $3.5 million.
Wow.
So we're working on those.
Wow.
And when I'm not doing that, I am traveling around the world talking about autism. I've been to 58 countries so far, and sometimes to as many as 2 countries a month.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. Thank you for all that.
Yeah, I follow you. Yeah, I follow you on your social media and just knowing who you are. You're everywhere. Yes. Yes.
I make the rounds.
That's all right.
And where can people follow you on social media? Do you have a...
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Just look me up. It's a public page.
Okay.
So just
Dr. Stephen
go
Shore.
on. Dr. Stephen Shore. There's another one called Stephen Mark Shore. So there's 2. One's a kind of like a public, more formal page, and the other one is just all the stuff I'm doing.
Right.
So check both of them out, Stephen Mark Shore and Dr. Stephen Shore.
On Facebook.
On Facebook, yeah.
Are you on
Also
Instagram or?
I'm on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and I must regret that I'm very low functioning on Instagram
That's okay.
and on X. Somebody told me I had over 1,000 followers on X. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Every now and then
Are
I
you
do
sure
it
they're
for
following
something.
you?
I don't know.
You're a little busy, so I understand why you have it.
Yeah.
And your website's great too. So
Okay.
Thanks.
And what's your website again?
It's drstephenshore.com.
Okay. Catchy. I like that. Good
And
one.
when I'm not doing that, I'm giving music lessons and
Oh.
You're still a busy man.
Yes.
And you're probably writing a book at the same time.
Probably.
there's always more writing. to be done.
I love it. Well, we can't thank you enough for being our guest. And I really am serious about having you on part-time. We'd love to catch up with you more about the research and other things going on. So,
Let's do it.
yeah, I'm sure we had a lot more questions, but we'd be here all night. So thank you so much. It's nice meeting you.
Oh, you're welcome,
And
man. Likewise.
This was great information. And we're so happy and proud that you came on our podcast. So thank
Yeah.
you so much.
And when you come to
honored to be on it.
when you come to Springfield, you'll be able to put a name to our faces.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do another thing in Springfield. Are there any
Oh, that would be
conferences
great.
going on there?
Are there any conferences going on here now? I don't know.
Not currently, but as you know, with the agency I work for has not done the big conferences in a while. We've got a big autism center now, and it's grown
Nice.
immensely in the service area, but it's still on the back burner. And every time we start even thinking, I said, I know who's going to come. You know, I've got somebody waiting.
We can maybe make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a team now that can get that happening, because that's one thing that I do regret is I know there was a time where those local conferences were it. We had frequent. Yes.
Yeah.
And we had access, and a lot of our families aren't having those experiences because everybody thinks, well, they can just get them online, but it's such a different experience.
When it's in
Going
person.
to
Yeah,
conference.
right. It's time for one year.
Yeah.
We'll work on that, Dr. Shore.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much, and have a good night.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks. And you
Thank
too.
you, Dr. Shore.
Thank you.
Thank
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
You can find us at navigatingadultautism.com. We're on Facebook at Navigating Adult Autism Podcast and Instagram the same. And we just put out our autism gossip, our current one. And I don't want to say the month because this may not come out in the month. So, just check out our Facebook page and our Instagram page. And if you want to contact us, we're at moms@navigatingadultautism.com.
Yes. And thank you for season 3.
Yep.
Thank you.
There we go.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.